Hey, this is Ralph with Stray Benzes. In today's episode, we're going to change the engine mounts. This time it's going to be on a V8. It's the same thing for the inline 6, whether or not that's diesel or for the gas engine, it doesn't really matter. Get a good quality engine mount. Majority of them are really cheap knockoffs. The original ones in here are now almost, a little over 35 years old. They are of the saggy kind, and once we get them out, I can show you what I mean. It's not all that complicated. You have to have a little bit of good luck, because some of those bolts, sometimes in screws, they are rusted up and can twist off in the worst case scenario. So let's hope that's not going to happen today. You need a 10 millimeter socket for removing the screws off of the engine shock dampeners. They need to go first. Then you need an N head. I think that's either an 8 or 10. We'll go over that once we're under the car, and a finger braking smaller 6 millimeter, because they are right under the heat shields of where the engine mounts are. So without further ado, we'll go under it and take a look what we are facing here. Swapping out the engine mounts, you need a couple of things. You definitely need a 6 millimeter Allen wrench. Even better if you have one of these with a small little ratchet, and because that's 3/8 drive to 1/4 inch, I had to have an adapter. You will definitely need an 8 millimeter with the nice long extension for the center mount bolt for the engine mount to the engine, and then 10 millimeter socket and wrench, and something to counter hold the little rod of the engine shock absorber, and that is it. Those are the main tools you'll need, and a big deal of portions, of a big portion of patience. All right, so in order to get these out of there, right there, we need to first loosen up the shock dampener here. 10 millimeter socket. We're going to clean up the threads a little bit of WD-40 on it. And then we're going to have to go all the way up in here. Let's see if we can actually see it. There you go. Come on, focus. That's an 8 millimeter socket, and see that thread right there? I already put a little bit of WD-40 on it. That is the one that we need to get from up there, and that's going to be a finger breaker because the engine mount is in the way, exhaust, engine block, whatever. And on this side, there is one right there that I also put some WD-40 on. So they are rusty. Wish us luck today. But those are the next ones we're going to loosen. This bolt needs to come out completely. Then we're going to lift up the engine, which is also fun. But let's focus on cleaning this up and then loosen up that. So let's apply a brush. A little bit of WD-40, and let's see. Not so sure that is budging. We're gonna see it in a moment. I didn't think so. So, and the misery starts already. Let's see if we can at least get this one to start. Great start, huh? Probably looks familiar to you. All right. There we go. Oh. Alright. Huh? There's no back. There's no back now. Alright. Let's see what we can do with this one. So. This is the bolt that came out of here. They are in there. So sometimes you have to use a long extension in order to get that one loose. This rod here is likely to turn on you, so I use this, get under here very as close to the metal bracket as possible so that you don't booger up the shaft going into the shock absorber. And if everything else fails, the other side I had to use just a touch of heat and the nut came loose, because otherwise we're going to goof that up. So now, believe it or not, it's in the actual factory manual. It says lift up the engine. Wonderful. How do you do that? They actually have it shown, and like that's how you're supposed to do it, just with a wooden block. So we're going to attempt that next. Let's see how it goes. Get the wooden block on. Under there. Let's see if we can, and how far we can lift the engine off its mount, because we do need to get that one coming. Get with that. All right. The concept. I need to make sure that we clear the shroud up on top where the cooler is. Yeah. Let's see if we have enough room up between the heat shield here. There you go. That's already one. It's not coming out. I need to still go a little bit, because with that in place, I don't believe we're going to get to the little N-head screws. And here's how asinine this is. I removed the heat shield, which is just a piece of sheet metal. It has an arrow pointing to the front. And then here are the N-head screws that you can barely get to. One here and one up here. Be super careful that you don't twist off the tops of those little N-head screws. All right, so this bad boy is out. And as you can see, how collapsed this bad boy is. That's incredible. So I'm gonna try to put this new one back in, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah, both old ones out of there. This is the one on the driver's side. That's more on tension, and this one is more compression when it's running. But clearly, one super collapsed, the other one failed all over the place. They're really not fun to get to. Let's try to put them back. And this is the next problem, because these ones aren't collapsed and they're gonna compress a little bit only with motor weight. Now I need to lift up the engine super high. See how far up that is now? So I have room between the frame and there to put the new the engine mount. Driver's side, and they're both not fun. Let's just say it at that. Hard to see, but that's now the space where the engine mount can go into. Let's see if I have enough space. All right, I have that thing in there. I put a little bit of anti-seize on it, and now I can get these small little screws started. I put this one in first. I'm on the driver's side now. That's where I'm starting. I have enough room here so I can still go back and forth. I need to be careful with the fan shroud, and you need to take that thing either completely off, or I snaked it around the fan so it would clear the shroud. And now I'm going to tighten these, and then the other side. So there are two tools that are coming in super handy, and that is a 1/4" drive ratchet. Trying to loosen these up is just as interesting as tightening them, because it's super tight in here. Like, you can get this in on the outer, on the passenger side, but there's no way to get it under. See? And there's a teeny tiny 3/8 extension on there for a 6mm end head. And for the other one right here, there's the only way to get to it is the regular end wrench. If I don't know where in the world I have the heat shield. There it is. Yeah. There's also the arrow. We're going to try to get this in. Oh man. Yeah. Still not high enough. I still can't get that in yet, but I will need to. So you can lift the engine some more so you can get this thing over the lip, and then we'll see what happens. So after tightening those screws, you put the heat shield back on. Remember, arrow points to the front. You'll see what I'm talking about once you take these out. And then you're gonna have to lower the engine a little bit. And then you go put the, sorry for the jostling. There you go. And then you tighten the center bolts and make sure that the engine is down on the mounts, otherwise you may cross thread the aluminum, and that's bad news. And then you tighten this one really, yeah, nice and tight. All
Alright, just watch out that you don't drop anything here into this frame member. If you do, you can go in from here with a magnet and retrieve the screw, relieve the pressure, and the engine can then be completely put down on the mounts. And I know there's already there's a huge, now here's a huge gap that was no longer there before. So now I need to adjust the fan shroud a little bit because the engine has come up quite a bit, and I'm gonna give it a test run. The only thing left is making sure that I put the shock absorber back in place. Bolt this little shaft on. Alright. Tighten that up, and you're ready for a test run. You can see new mount is in, heat shield is back. It's not difficult, it is just a royal pain in the ass.
It's remarkable how smooth now the engine feels to the touch. Another good job. Hey folks, boy, it may not have had an awful lot of practical things to show during the video, but good grief, there wasn't really an awful lot. It is such a pain in the ass to get in between the sheet metal of the engine mount and those teeny tiny screws. Yeah, they're M8, but they're very you need calibrated Swiss Army knife fingers for getting there. And you're going to get dirty. You're going to spend some quality time under there. And my big tip is move the screws back and forth, put anti-seize, some WD-40, Croyle, whatever on there, and work those screws out slowly. And yeah, just make sure that you don't break those off, because you're gonna curse like nothing else. Same goes for cross threading the big long bolts, the M10s, Allen heads. They are also very difficult to get to, and once you screw up the thread, it's just not good. Anyhow, this was an unexpected turn of events for the day. I had intended to do something completely different, but this one I had the darn engine mounts here anyway, so well, have fun. Keep the good old R107, the 126, 124, 123s, and 201s on the road. They all are pretty much alike. Take care.